So I would like to introduce you to Sandra Garcia. I don't see Sandra, so I will wait a minute for her to come. Good morning, Sandra. She is the CEO in Instituto Aragonés de Ciencias de la Salud. She has a medicine and health economics background. To point out just some of her previous positions, she worked as a senior research in Instituto Aragonés de Ciencias de la Salud. She has been an analyst at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and head of the Observatory for Regional Health System in Madrid, Spain. So Sandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Maria. While I try to share my screen, let me just say that it's a real pleasure to be here with all of you today. And we are extremely grateful for your participation in this informative event, because we are actually hoping, let me see, yeah. We are actually hoping to get, to provide you with some information, but definitely our main objective here is to actually hear from you. So thank you very much for the initiative to present and for all the questions, even if you are not presenting, that you would be able to pose to us at the end, during the meeting. So let's start, not to take too much time. That's more or less the outline of the issues I would like to cover in this presentation. So what is ROSIA? You already heard from Maria. It's a European project backed up by a consortium to do pre-commercial procurement of digital health and care solutions. We have 54 months of duration for the project. It started already in January this year and is expected to finish by June 2025. The problem we are trying to address here, again, Maria already outlined it. We want to extend and to make the most effective and equitative use of rehabilitation. It's already well known that it's an extremely useful clinical process that reduces and reverses the impact for some pathologies. However, it's a very long and intensive in clinical resources process. The diagnosis we have for the problem is that it's not sufficiently used. That's why we want to make it a more spread use across the territories that we have responsibility for. It's particularly critical, obviously, in remote areas, and also is the areas where the population is aging faster, so the needs are increasing faster as well. So that will be the focus of our action for the project. The other part of the issue of the problem we would like to address is that we are aware, or we have the notion that vendors and innovators are facing challenges of themselves. Mainly, to make their solutions available and usable beyond pilots, like high scale and spread use. There is issues with regulation, interoperability of data, and mainly we would like to help in the challenge that has to do with actually testing the innovation in real life conditions. Professionals on their own have also some issues that need to be covered, and we would like to address with this initiative. That has to do with being able to have all the information for the patient integrated in a way that is exploitable and allows for personalized care programs. So what's the solution we are aiming for? We would like to establish an environment where the rehabilitation for the patient happens in their own environment. Let me use environment again. Supervised, self-managed, and also community care based. So we would use the two pillars. Obviously, it's a value-based model of care we are aiming for. And as I said, it's an integrated model that should be tailored, that it should allow for personalization for the patient needs. And definitely there's a key issue, which is motivation, which is core for any rehabilitation process. So we are pretty aware that the model we are aiming for is pretty intensive in terms of use of the technology. We would like to mobilize disruptive solutions to support all these objectives I've just mentioned. It's definitely data-driven interventions. Without the data, there's no personalization. So we need an open platform for third-party solutions that actually allows for timely and effective communication across the different parts of the process of care. How we would like it to make it feasible? Well, I've already highlighted a bit this aspect. We think that there's an opportunity to open the market, to unlock the current market for disruptive solutions. And that's what we are aiming for, creating a ROSIA innovation ecosystem. And at the same time, we would like to build a ROSIA catalog, which actually allows our clinicians or the clinicians to prescribe those solutions coming from the ROSIA innovation ecosystem that are already certified and could be prescribed for patient use. So in a nutshell, if you want, what we are aiming for, what we would like to purchase is a technology enabled all-in-one service. And let me highlight the service part, because there are very different elements that we need to be operating in this service, and we would like to see them all aligned. So we will initially focus for this service in the 7 pathologies you can see in your screen already listed. And who we are, where are we going to develop, or around which areas are we going to develop this project? Well, the consortium as a whole has very different roles and is spread across Europe. You can see that we geographically cover certain areas. But let me explain the different roles we have for each of the consortium members. You already heard that Ajax is playing the role of project coordinator and is supported by Balde for procurement coordination. And we have 3 health systems involved as procurers, public health systems. The one health system in Aragon, the National Rehabilitation Hospital, the reference hospital in Ireland for rehabilitation in the country, and the reference hospital in the region of Coimbra in Portugal, again for rehabilitation and care in Coimbra, in the area of Coimbra. But we also have local partners that are going to be the actual sites for validation of these solutions. Remember that we are thinking remote areas. So we have as partners these municipalities that you can see at the top right of your screen. 2 in Spain, in Aragon, Barbastro and Teruel. 2 in Portugal, Municipio de Penela and Souri. And for Ireland, we actually have a broader cover of local sites. And last but not least, we have a number of knowledge partners that are contributing to the development of the model and to the technological parts of the assessment of the model. And we have the decision group and IFIC from the Netherlands. We have the Instituto de Experiencia del Paciente from Spain, and the Instituto Pedro Nunes Asociado para la Innovación Portugal, and PPCN from Denmark. So just a flavor, because I'm aware that most of you already know what a PCB process is, but so we are all in the same page. that's the concept. Innovation procurement to deliver solutions to challenges of the public systems of the public interest. And those are the regular phases in a PCP process. Let me just highlight that for this particular one, we are aiming to technologies that are already in a, let's say, a higher level of maturity. So TRL 5.6 to bring it to TRL 7.8 ready for actual public procurement. Again, you already know the phases: solution design, prototype, original development and testing, and then the deployment of commercial volumes of end products. In the case of ROSIA, we are already in phase O, or CO if you want, the preparation stage. It will last, including the open market consultation that we are about to launch in July. It will last until until March 2022. Then we will enter, as is the usual procedure, the solution design phase. As you probably already know, 5 potential bidders will be selected to enter this, selected and funded to enter this phase of solution design. This will last until November 2022. Then in January, August, sorry, the selection will last until November 2022, and the solution design will last several months, and then there will be a second selection among the solutions presented to select 3 of them. Again, will be funded to keep it, to bring it farther to a prototype phase. And last but not least, in October 2023 and until almost the end of the project, March 2025, we will have 2 solutions, 2 bidders funded to actually implement a validation process for the solutions that have been selected in the sites that we just mentioned. What have we been doing in phase 0? An analysis of the art, an assessment of user needs with a lot of field work by our knowledge partners. And now we are hoping to be able to complete the information we need with the insights we get from you from the open market consultation, and to initiate a process of co-design with stakeholders on the basis of all this information already provided. So why the open market consultation? Definitely we need, we have made all this preparation work and state-of-the-art review, but we need to actually contrast with you, the kind of possibilities available. And we definitely need to identify possible suppliers, possible developers of solutions for the future PCP. And we would like all of you, so please make as many questions as you need to be very aware of the opportunities and the process. Who can participate, who are invited, or we would like to encourage to participate in the open market consultation. Of course, research and development groups, startups, technological companies, open platform providers, devices providers, apps providers, NGOs, social companies, community services providers, and associations. Let me remind you that we are aiming to purchase, to buy, and to develop a solution that is a whole service. So as you can see, there are many elements that need to play. How can you participate in this open market consultation? We have 4 pre-open market consultation information events, like the one we are already involved in today. We already have another one, a previous one last week, and we are having 2 more. You can see the dates in your screen in Ireland and Portugal. We are You are invited to participate in as many of them as you feel it would be useful for you. On July 12th, it will be launched the actual open market consultation. So there will be a questionnaire available where you can provide the information to participate in the open market consultation, and it will be open until September the 3rd. And during September, we are hoping to have bilateral meetings with the people or the entities and companies that have decided to participate in the open market consultation. What's in it for you? Well, you will have the opportunity to have a direct interaction with the 3 ROSIA procurers, the 3 systems that are aiming to buy these solutions, and learn firsthand priorities and needs. Also, we think it would be extremely useful for you, the open market consultation, participating in the open market consultation, because that will allow you to have even more information about other partners, possible partners, or what others are offering in the market, and which kind of alliances you would be willing to build to actually bid for the process. From our point of view, I've already made a point, cross-check our expectations, obtain information in the market, and make interested for potential buyers, so you can bid. Of course, there will be a confidentiality clause. Any material that you deem confidential wouldn't be published. And if you want, let's go to the actual explaining of the problem. Let's go, for the typical patient pathway. And well, we have chosen to show you what happens to someone with a cardiovascular condition living in a remote area. His name is Francisco in this case. 62-year-old, lives in a small village in the north of Aragon. He's a farmer, married, 2 sons, lives with her wife, which is 59, ex-smoker, high blood pressure, and suffers a heart attack. Of course, he's admitted to a hospital and treated for the heart attack, and the phase of his care we are taking care of is what happens after the admission, right? So you see outlined below that actually Francisco lives around 4 kilometers away from the healthcare center, from his healthcare center, primary healthcare center. A bit farther, 98 kilometers from the general hospital where he has been treated for the acute heart attack. And the cardiac rehabilitation unit that acts as reference of care for him is actually farther away, more than 100 kilometers away plus, in Zaragoza. So what happens to him is that during the stay in the hospital, there's early mobilization, psychological support, education. Phase 2 is supervised 8 to 16 weeks, and Francisco needs to go back and forth to the cardiac rehabilitation unit in Zaragoza for physical activity supervised by cardiologists, psychological support again, and educational on healthy lifestyle. The maintenance phase, starting after the 16 weeks of supervised rehabilitation, happens at his own home, at his own village, and is unsupervised regular activities and primary care follow-up with the typical control. What we are aiming for is, by ROSIA, the process should be as follows. During the admission at the hospital, before this starts, Francisco will be prepared with online training, introduction to the rehab journey, and provided with support for digital and health literacy depending on the needs. There will be early rehabilitation, phase 2, rather than traveling back and forth to the cardiac unit rehabilitation. The ROSIA environment should provide him with this outpatient the outpatient early rehabilitation may happen still in the cardiac rehabilitation unit, but from there on, it should happen remotely, right? So Francisco will be prescribed different apps from the ROSIA catalog, and will be able to carry out those activities at his own home or community. And what happens with maintenance, which is one of the major challenges because motivation really decays when there's no supervision. Well, we would like to offer Francisco this personalized digital rehabilitation program, which is still semi-supervised, there's virtual coach, with continuous monitoring, psychological support, and which also entails other activities of support on their community, based on his community, and also a support program for carers and family members. So what would be the offer for that to happen from the ROSIA platform of services? There will be different applications that will have particularities as an intelligent training shirt, an augmented reality device, remote monitoring apps allowing communication via video, I mean, either simultaneous or not, other medical devices that collect their physical measures, and also the possibility maybe of bring your own device to the platform. Is of course a value-based care. So it should entail that Francisco's outcomes should be better, improve it. Of course, there's a component there that provides for a more efficient use of the resources, the very specialized resources of rehabilitation, and also it allows Francisco to be empowered and to have health management that is actually encouraged and based on data, based on his own progress. The solution, we aim for it to be scalable and affordable, and also for the care team, the opportunities for coordination and personalization of care for Francisco increases heavily. So those are the 4 elements. I already mentioned them. I will just try to go a bit more in depth for each of them. In terms of integrated care, we are talking about a very interdisciplinary team. We are talking for the case of Francisco, and imagine for the other pathologists as well, it will be the same circumstance. We have cardiologists, we have rehabilitators, and physiotherapists, primary care teams, and community teams involved here. They require close cooperation to be able to provide the actual support that Francisco would need. So we need to facilitate this exchange of information that will make Francisco, his family, and all the team members able to provide this integrated care. In terms of motivation, we definitely are aware that the key part of telerehabilitation is keeping motivation high and effective. So we would like to complement it or to base the intervention on community. So, proximity intervention by the health and the social teams in the communities, personal services, virtual coaching, and of course, the data that is being collected from Francisco's devices and inputs should provide insight. So actually it empowers Francisco to keep on going and see his progress. The other of the 4 pillars, the technological ecosystem. I've already mentioned, we would like to open, to unlock the marketplace, because we definitely there's plenty of solutions, even already in the market, that are not being widely used or integrated in a whole service that can be assumed by a health system. That's the key point. So we would like to facilitate that this happens. And how we would like to do that? Well, you know, it's kind of depicted as an iceberg, if you want. At the tip, you have the actual apps, devices of any kind that would be prescribed and used by the teams and the patients during the service, right? So that would consist the ROSIA catalog. Certified apps means they have been used and they have deemed suitable for safe and effective care. But then we have the ROSIA developers layer, and you know, it's all this community that is actually putting forward and developing APIs, SDKs, or any kind of question and answer or automation processes, and that need to develop them on real circumstances. It needs to validate them. We would like to provide an environment for them to do that, for you to do that if you want. And then there's another layer, which is all the platform that should allow for the data to actually help each of the actors in the process. Let me clarify that. I mean, we definitely have two lines or two axes of work. That has to do with one has to do with the individual data that we need for the patient and for his care team and for his family to be able to use and enjoy the services that we are providing at ROSIA, right? Of course, this data need to be safely exchanged, but it's not anonymous. However, for the development and for the whole ecosystem and for monitoring how efficiently we are working, we don't need this identified personal data. We need secure, pseudonymized data that could be shared and could be used for the development. So that's more or less what is already depicted in the scheme that I'm showing you. The catalog of devices and apps, there are already some examples there. You can probably, or maybe you are already familiar with the European Mental Health Hub. We would like to extend it. So a wish list. We would like the ROSIA open platform that will be at the basis of all these objectives I've just mentioned to be extremely flexible, to allow for data sharing across sectors and facilitate patient engagement, of course, to have a high degree of automation. We certainly would be aiming for very light and very friendly user interfaces, relying on heavy infrastructure, because the complexity of the processes that we are aiming for should guarantee that we need a heavy infrastructure. Support, I've already mentioned, bring your own medical device. Of course, there are already ongoing initiatives and infrastructure components at the European level, at the national level, and at the regional level that definitely we would like to see in use. Of course, standards, agreed international standards. We would try to avoid, we would not accept proprietary solutions. We want it open, so it would allow any kind of third party enter. It should be developed and approving cloud native platform, so the tools are lodged there. And I mean, there's another aim, which is actually to enable patients to share their data, to own their data, and decide when and where to share it for other purposes than their own personal care. The value-based model, well, let me just say that of course we are measuring outcomes. When we are assessing the model to be developed or the solutions that are being presented, what would be the target and the core of our assessment is outcome improvement. And of course, organizational sustainability, financial sustainability, and scalability are part of the elements or dimensions of the assessments we will make of the solutions presented, and also the objectives that we are aiming for with this initiative. So in terms of next steps and key dates, if you want. As I've already mentioned, but I think it's worth repeating or emphasizing it, the actual open market consultation will start on July 12th. It will be launched then. What would you need to do if you are interested in being in engaging in this open market consultation? There will be a questionnaire, an online questionnaire that you can complete, providing all the information about your organization and the kind of products or solutions that you think would be suitable for this project. Of course, beyond the questionnaire, you can add, if you want, complementary documentation. You have until the 3rd of September to provide us with this information. Part of the open market consultation would be to, because everything will be published in the platform that you will have access to, is to search for possible good allies for the tender phases. I mean, once the tender is launched, we, as we said, we are not tendering for specific components. We are tendering for services, complete service, or blocks of service. So it will be encouraged to actually find alliances that allows you to concur to the tender with integral solutions. Of course, if you want to intensify your ability to actually show yourself and see what other people is offering, the next pre-OMC informative events are a very, very good showcase. And I will show you again the dates for the next ones in a moment. And in September, once you all have, all the people interested have submitted the information, the ROSIA partners, particularly the procurers, could schedule bilateral meetings with you to answer questions that may still remain even with information provided in the questionnaire. And by the end of October, the ROSIA partners will publish the results of the open market consultation, what we have learned of the concurrence for the tender that we are to launch in 2022. Those are the dates. Again, the Spanish one already happened last week, but you have two more beyond today, in June 28th and in June 30th. So next week. And I think that's all on my side. As you can see, we hope that the service that we can provide to the end users is friendly and easy to use. Thank you very much. Back to you, Maria.